So this presser today will include two incidents that took place. One was on Wednesday and the other one was this morning. So the first presser, and this is the suspect in this one, was Sean Gary Wood. So on Wednesday, our warrant team received information about a 49-year-old Gary Sean Wood. He was at a home near Southwest 16th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue. Wood was wanted for warrant for trafficking drugs. They saw Wood drive off and attempted to pull him over. Wood then fled and circled back to the home. He went into the RV that was located about 18 inches from the house. And so that's where we started on him at. About that time, obviously the barricaded suspect situation takes place. We filled the RV with OC gas. Wood got out of it, smashed the window into to the home, and then went inside the home. Negotiators tried but were unsuccessful in getting Wood to come out or to even speak with them. We make and take several measures, make many attempts to try to gain some level of cooperation, some level of interaction and correspondence with the suspects we deal with, especially in barricaded situations, because as law enforcement, we want this to end peacefully as well. And so we made several attempts to do that. We were unsuccessful in our efforts. And our tactical team then lobbed several canisters of OC gas into the home, but were unable to force Wood out. Around 8:30 p.m., the tactical team entered the house and searched every inch of it for Wood. So as you can imagine, you see this home, all these operators, that's what we call our tactical team, our operators are in this residence, and we're trying to locate Mr. Wood. And I mean, just think about how dangerous that is for your operators to be in here. We understand there's an attic above and we can't locate this guy. So when we searched, after searching the house, we were unable to find him. And at some point in time, and it would have had to been under the cover of darkness, Wood was able to get out of the house and then go back into the RV. And in the RV, there was obviously it's very dilapidated, and there was a rotted out section in the RV that he managed to kind of hide in and then cover up. And I will tell you, our deputies, our TAC team, everybody involved in the call, were very, diligent and really observant to what they had seen on this case and on this incident, and they looked over that RV, and one of the deputies was able to locate a slight hump in what was covering him and was able to see, like, hey, there's something there. Was able to pull that up, obviously identify Wood. Wood then crawled under that rotted out section and got from under the RV, went to try to run away, but we quickly apprehended him. And so obviously that incident ended successfully with no one getting hurt. The suspect was taken into custody without incident, and so that's always a positive outcome. But if y'all have any questions about this one before we move on to the next one.
Did you guys have a canine there?
I don't believe we had a canine there, no ma'am.
Okay. Would they have been able to, sniff him out if they were there?
Well, the thing is, when you start lobbing OC canisters and stuff like that, those dogs' noses are really sensitive. So where you could have a canine in some things try to search for someone, once they're introduced in that environment, I mean, our operators have to wear masks and stuff to be able to navigate that. So it makes it unpleasant for those dogs and almost renders them useless in that situation.
So what charges is he facing now?
Obviously, it was picking up for the warrant, and I'm sure there's other charges associated with that'll come for fleeing and running and stuff like that, but the original charge was the trafficking warrant.
Can you talk about the steps you have to do when a standoff this long has to take place and the patience that you have to do to cover it?
Yes, our TAC team, very well trained, very well seasoned, so they have seen a little bit of everything. And when I talked to our my undersheriff was the TAC team commander. He talks about how they really switched roles from doing dynamic entries and being very quick and being very violent and getting in there to really slowing things down and being patient. And that makes it safer for everyone involved, makes it safer for the deputies. It allows us to work through things, make very good decisions because we're not rushing, because we understand that when you're trying to do things right and be safe, time is on our side. Because we can outweight you, we have drones above, and we have eyes on. So I just think keeping it patient, keeping it safe, just really helps the situation. And then obviously you want to talk through things. So that's how we've handled it, and that's really the progression of our team and why we're so good.
Can you elaborate who was in the car with the suspect?
I know there was a female. I'm not sure on that. I can get you that after this. I'm quite positive.
Did you guys have more deputies there than normal?
No, our warrant squad, and we'll get to this next one where we tell you, after we deal with that last night, throughout this morning to apprehend more people with warrants and more bad guys. It's just what they do. And so when you have a situation like that, and I want to thank Oklahoma City Police Department because they really bolstered our numbers. They helped us out. As you can imagine, this happens during the heat of the day, about 1 o'clock, and lasts till the wee hours of the night. There's a lot of men that have to be swapped out and have to be looked after because they still have to have water. They still have to have bathroom breaks. We have to look out for their well-being. And Oklahoma City really stepped up, offered us pole cams, drones, and manpower. So we're grateful for our partnership with Oklahoma City, and it really was a law enforcement community effort last night.
There's a square cutout on top of the home's roof, and
Yes, ma'am.
so what was the purpose of doing that?
Well, he was believed to be hiding in the attic because, once we had gotten the house and searched every area of the house, not locating him, the obvious next point would be, let's check the attic. Well, a crawl space like those types of attics gives us no really good tactical advantage, and there's no good way to, pie off that area. And so a hole was cut to then give us the ability to look in so that we can make a safe entry just to see if he was there.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so the home in which the suspect entered is pretty banged up. We saw the house
Yes.
earlier, and so the homeowners are wondering, is this something that you all will pay for, or is this something that they have to take care of out of their own pocket?
They generally file tort claims that go through the county. Yes, ma'am.
Were any weapons recovered when he was taken into custody?
Were any weapons recovered?
I'm not hoping so, no.
No, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't know that one. Any other questions on this one?
And you guys briefly touched on safety yesterday evening. You guys did everything you could to make sure that this ended peacefully.
Mhm.
Can you touch on that just a little bit?
Once again, the goal of the TAC team is to preserve life. Obviously, in the threat, but preserve life. And so once we understand that there's not a hostage involved, it's just a barricaded suspect, time is on our side. We can wait you out. We can keep replacing people like we did yesterday because the ultimate goal is just to take them into custody without incident. And yesterday we were able to do that because we are very aware that to be patient, like we said, we don't have to be dynamic. We can be very patient, be very sound with our tactics, and I think that's what all of those guys on that scene yesterday demonstrated. And we're very proud of them. You talk about putting training into reality, and that's what it is. You work like you train, and obviously they train hard, and they train for these situations, and they're very prepared.
Did you reveal anything on why you ran and hid?
No, I haven't gotten any information on that, but, I mean, who knows why people run. He clearly has a rap sheet that is long. He is a career criminal, I believe. He's been in the Oklahoma County Detention Center 22 times, and so, I mean, who knows why he would run. But from what I'm seeing, has a long rap sheet, career criminal, definitely not a decent guy.
How do you spell Sean? Sorry.
So the way I have it spelled is S is in Sam, H is in Henry, A is in Adam, W is in William, N is in Nancy.
Thank you.
And then Gary Wood. That's what I have.
And I've got pictures for you guys too.
Thank you.
The last question I have for you is, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but as I've stated before, we have spoken with the homeowner, and according to them, they say that officials were given permission to go through the front door, saying that the front door was unlocked. Is that true that you all received permission? I don't know if that's something that you would know.
I'm not sure of that, but state law gives us the ability to do what we have to do to apprehend the suspect. And then there's obviously other legal ways on the back end that they can be repaid for the damages. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. If that's it, we will go on to our next one, and this will be for Eugene Richard Davis. So once again, I really love to speak to how dedicated our men and women at the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office, how dedicated they are to serving our community and keeping our community safe, because these same individuals that were on the SWAT call out last night were back on the road this morning apprehending individuals. So this morning at 8:30 a.m., the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office warrant team was attempting to serve a warrant on 49-year-old Eugene Richard Davis. Jr. Eugene Richard Davis, Jr. Thank you. Wood was wanted for a warrant for felon in possession of a firearm, driving under the influence of drug and alcohol, carrying a firearm while under the influence, and obstructing an officer. Back in April of 2021, Wood was pulled over by the Oklahoma City Police. As an officer was approaching the driver's side, an officer by the passenger side saw Wood put a pistol in his lap. As deputies approached Wood this morning at his apartment, Wood ran off, leading our warrants team on a foot chase. Wood tried to get into 2 apartments before deputies apprehended him. Once again, I'd just like to speak on how proud I am of our guys from being involved and hooked up on something last night that took all of their attention, to then go home, rest, and come back out early this morning and turn it back on again. So with that, any questions on this specific case that deals with Eugene Richard Davis Jr.? Excuse me, tongue twister. My apologies. My apologies.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I
Take your time.
think you kept saying Wood.
My-
I'm sorry.
I
I'm
probably-
just clarifying. I'm sorry.
It's Eugene Richard Davis
Okay.
Jr.
Okay.
Yes. The first one was
Wood.
Wood.
Okay.
Yes. The first one was Sean Gary Wood.
Okay.
And if I'm mixed up, sorry.
So he ran off from you guys, that you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Tried to get into 2 apartments before deputies apprehended him.
And was he saying anything while he was running away, or?
I don't think they're yelling and talking to us when they're running. I think they're actively trying to flee, but I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
Sweet.
You never know.
Yes.
Sure, you can talk to him. Obviously, this guy's dangerous. He had a gun in his lap during a traffic stop. He didn't know what he was going to do. Kind of talk about the danger.
I mean, when you talk about the dangers of the job, we approach every individual that we come in contact with as if they are armed, because that's how we stay safe and it's how we, approach each and every situation to, provide that level of officer safety that's needed for each and every call, because you never know who you're dealing with in this line of work. And so understanding, the historical context of dealing with this individual and keeping that in mind for the, when we come in contact with them, that just keeps people safe. But this is a very dangerous job. What we do is very dangerous. But our guys, they gracefully do it, and they do it courageously. And so I think that really speaks to what we have going here at Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office.
If you don't mind, I'm going to throw one more out, too. Can you point out, too, that the guys that were involved in the previous night's activities all night long were the same guys who were chasing after this guy this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, I believe we led with that. Yes, we led with that. No, it's okay. Love shouting out our guys and gals here. I'm a blessed man to get to serve this staff, and so they make me extremely proud.
When did you guys officially wrap up last night?
Well, I believe, and I don't, usually how this works is you have a SWAT call out, a barricaded subject, or whatever the SWAT call out may be. And then after that SWAT call out, they finish up and they do a debrief. And because, in law enforcement, we're always trying to learn, hey, what did we do? What could we have done better? So I'm not familiar with when they wrapped up off of their debrief.
About midnight.
About midnight? And so even the people who lived on that street, they weren't allowed to access their homes while you guys were there?
No, and that's a safety issue, and I think that's a great thing to bring up. It's not that we're trying to keep people out of their homes for no reason. It's just, in the event that, a shooting happens by chance, when you're talking about these homes that have siding, rifle rounds can go right through those. So once again, when we come to the scene, preservation of life is first and foremost. That's not only preservation of life for the deputies and the suspect or the individuals involved, that's for everyone around. And so that's the mindset that goes into it. How do we keep everybody safe and still accomplish our mission? And so that's a really good question. Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
And what charges is Davis facing?
He was arrested for the warrant that he had, the warrant for felon in possession of a firearm, driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol, carrying a firearm while under the influence, and obstructing an officer. So he was,
Weapons recovered?
not that I know of, no.
You might pick up an unwitting tool.
But until they file it, I won't speak to that.
There was some speculation in our newsroom, I don't know if this is true, but were there cameras that were inside the house that you guys put in to try and find the guy?
And that's what we were talking about with the void and the pole cams. It allows us, once again, work safe, work slow, allows us to put eyes in a place so that you don't have to physically put deputies or officers in harm's way. And they can kind of get a layout of the house because each home is laid out differently. So it allows us to see the layout of the house. It allows us to see, is there anything in the home? Is there an individual tucked on a wall? Or just see how things are situated, just to make the safest entry possible.
Yeah, is there any way that we are allowed to see that pole cam footage?
I don't, I don't know if pole cam footage is recorded. I don't know if that's something that just produces lifetime feed for their knowledge or what. I would have to get you more information on that.
Did you guys have body cams or?
Our TAC team does have body cams.
Is that something that we can see?
You can always make a FOIA request. Yes.
The quick answer to that is yes, but it's got about 7 hours worth of videos. They're in the process of downloading it right now. And it's a huge file, so it's not ready for you guys yet, but when it's ready, I'll reach out and you guys can have all 7 hours.
Yes.
That's a lot to sit through.
Yes, it is. No, you're very welcome. Anyone else? Well, guys, as always, I appreciate you all. Thank you for what you do for our community. You allow us to give us the opportunity to get the news to our community, and I appreciate that. And I think we work well together, and so I appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
Yep.